Let's take a look at what we'll be building today. So in today's video, we'll be building a React email drag and drop editor where we can be able to design our email template before sending it to our users. So by the end of this video, you should be able to integrate this in your website. Maybe you want to have an editor that you can be able to customize your template and then send an email or a newsletter to your website users. So in this video, you are going to learn Node Mailer, you are going to learn React Email Drag and Drop, you are going to learn how to send email to different users, you are going to learn how to send an email to a single user. So, and all our emails will be beautifully crafted. So let's take a tour on how this thing works. So over here, when you open this application, you will discover that we have this in the interface over here to design our email. So if you see by the opening this application, you can see that we already have a block over here telling us that there is no content. So we can be able to drag any of these and make content over here. So you can see this side on the right hand side over here, you can see content is selected. If we go down to blocks, you see different blocks. If we go down to body, if we want to customize the color of the body, maybe we want to change the background body to another color, like maybe we want to change it to blue, and we want to, since it's on blue, we want to change the color, the text color to white, maybe white. We can do that. And if you want to change the content weight, we can be able to do that. We can be able to customize the text alignment as well, and some other things. We can be able to change the link color, whether you should underline links and all the like. So that is for the body. So as for the blog, we can be able to drag any of this blog. For instance, you want to have a 3 section or 3 column blog, we can just hover over it, and you can be able to drag and drop over here down below. So you can see it has created different blocks for us. If we still want to drop another block, we can be able to, maybe if we want a one block, we can be able to drag it down over here and have another block like this. So but what if you want to add content? If you want to add content, just select any of these blocks and then click on add content. Once you click on add content, you'll be able to see different kinds of content that you can be able to add. So supposing we want to add heading, so we can just hover over heading and drag heading here. So once you drag heading, you can see that it has selected, and we can be able to edit this heading. So we can say React email editor with custom send email using nodejs and nodejs. So, and we can, the beautiful thing is that it has all these toolbar that you can be able to control how your 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 text or your content looks like. You can be able to insert images, you can be able to insert text. So we have inserted text. So the next step over here, what if you want to go ahead and insert and maybe images within this? So we can click on add content and select, instead of selecting heading or image, we can be able to own a menu or whatever, we can be able to select an image and drag and drop it over here. So just drag an image content and drop it over there. So once you drag, you see an image icon asking you to insert an image. So just click on it and you see this upload image. So click on upload image and it will trigger our custom gallery. So images in the gallery over here. So and let me first of all paste my content before. For instance, over here I need to add content, and type of content I want to add is is text. So you can see text over there. So let me paste the text that I had copied. I'll convert it later. So let's go back to this image, and we want to upload an image over there. So we copy any of this image. So just copy and highlight this URL that's over here, remove the default URL, and paste the link. Automatically load the image in that place box. So you can see the image has been loaded. And if you want to insert another image this side as well, you can click, select the box, and click on add content, and drag an image and drop an image content, and click on the image over here, and you see this upload image. Click on it and see our gallery. So one good thing is that we can choose to even upload new image. So for instance, I can click on this choose file. So if once this is open, we can go ahead and select any image to upload to our gallery. So you can see we have different images over here. We can choose to select more than one at a time and upload. Just open it, and we should be able to see the preview of those images before they are sent to the server. You can see the preview over here. So once you have seen the preview, you can go ahead and click on upload. Yeah, so you can see that my images have been uploaded to our gallery successfully, and if you want to go ahead and use any of these images, just click on copy and then close this modal. So and just highlight this image URL and paste the link that you have just copied. To automatically load the image over here. So you can see how we can be able to customize it. But I don't like the way this text content is overlapping. So I will cut this text content, and I will go ahead in this my next box. I'm going to go ahead and add my text content. So drag text content and then drop it over here, and double click on it to edit. So I want to add my text content over here. So one good thing is that I can be able to even customize, change the font size to another, maybe something bigger. I can be able to justify my text, and I can be able to write more, maybe write more text. So, and you can be able to as well insert emojis, customize it the way you want. This is a professional image drag and drop editor. So at the end of the day, you should quit. At the end of this video, you should quit and pay money for maybe image drag and drop editors and all the like. So you can see how emoji is inserted. So over here, let's go ahead and delete this particular section over here. So let's add another image. So just drag another image again and drop it over here, and click on the image icon and select image upload. From here we can copy any of this image URL, we can upload, close this one, then highlight this one, remove the link, and paste the link over here. The image will be automatically loaded. So after this, if we still want to add another block below to continue designing, we can still be able to just come under block, just click on the section of blocks. So the blocks will be open. So if you want to go ahead and add a single block or add a double, let's add a single block. So we can be able to add it below this. So we'll just click on add content again. Maybe you want to insert an image. So let's drag and drop. You can insert any of these. If you want to insert many, you can insert as well. Let's drag and drop an image again, and click on insert an image, and click on upload. From here we need an image from our gallery, so let's copy this image and close this, then highlight this link image URL over here Once you have highlighted, click and paste the link. So one thing is that you can even be able to customize the URL to this link. You can customize, maybe the URL can point to your website. You can customize how when a user clicks this image should what should do. Should it be responsive? Should it hide on desktop? So that is one good thing about this React image drag and drop editor. So, and you can see we have desktop and mobile. So if I choose desktop or mobile to see the responsiveness, it will show me how it will appear on mobile. So anyone viewing this may on desktop, this is how it is going to appear. So you can see it's looking more beautiful and responsive across all devices. So if I switch to desktop, you should be able to see it. If you want to see preview over here, you can be able to see preview. So after designing my email like this, now I want to send this email to someone. So how do I send this email to my users or to anyone? I will click on this button one, send newsletter. So once I click on this button, send newsletter, you see a drop down modal. So this drop down modal is asking you what is the subject of the email at first. So I will say maybe hello, this is my first email, and the next one is the email addresses. You can enter a single email address or you can enter multiple email address separated by comma. So now, but for the sake of this tutorial, let me enter one take 45 is my email. You want to contact me for any business, so take45@gmail.com. So, and once I've entered the subject and I've entered the email, so if I click on send email now, to go ahead and carry this template that I've designed over here and send it to someone as an email. So you can see that it has says mail dispatch successfully. So it has sent this from our reactjs application to our nodejs application, and using nodemailer we have been able to dispatch this mail to the user. So let's click on OK so that you stop loading. Let's check out our email to see if the mail has been sent successfully. Alright, so when we come to our email over here, you can be able to see this mail that has been sent. See it over here. Hello world, this is my first email. So just click on it. Wow, that is great. So you can see that our email has been dispatched successfully, and the way we have designed it over there is the same way it is appearing over here in our in our mail. This is on my Gmail account and you can see the mail. So likewise, if you're on mobile, you can as well be able to see this. But what if you want to send this email to more than one user? So all we have to do is, if you want to send this email to more than one user, just go ahead and enter the email addresses separated by comma. So supposing I have another email as take@gmail.com. This is just a test though. Take@gmail.com. I can go ahead and enter more email addresses separated by word comma. So enter more email addresses. So up to 500 emails can be sent. So just go ahead and continue entering more email addresses, and at the end of the day, click, it will dispatch this mail template to those email addresses. So that is one beautiful thing about this template and this project that we have designed. So we have added a block over here at the top. Remember, when you add a block, you can see they add the plus down and the plus at the top. If you want to add another block at the top, click at the top and it will add duplicate this block for you. If you want to add below, you can click on this. So supposing we want to add another block over here and use this block to design our menu, we can click on this add content and you can see the menu bar over here, or custom tool. So we can just drag the menu and drop it inside this block and click on the menu. So, and you will see this interface will be open for us over here to design our menu. So supposing I want to add a menu item, I can click on this plus to add a menu item, and it's asking for the name. So supposing I want to say, so if I wanted to open my website, so what if I wanted to open a new tab, that one. So you can see it over here. So I can go ahead and even style it to look the way I want. So I can change the, instead of the link color to be this, I can change the link color to the something that can be at least visible, so you can see the home showing over there. And I can also change the text color. Instead of black, I can increase the font size, can leave it horizontal or vertical, leave it horizontal, leave the separator. So, and then you can customize other things. So if I want to go ahead again, add another menu item, can click on this add item, and maybe this time around, instead of page, I can change it to about, and then I will likewise change the link color to this color over here, so that it can appear on the background. So just change it to this. Okay, you can choose it to open a new tab, and if you want to go ahead and add another menu item, click on this plus. So maybe we call this one contact. When we send this template to, or send this email to a user, when he clicks on any of these or menu items, to take him to the specific page within our application. So you can see that. And another one is, let's assume we want this one to take the person to contact. We can click, we can make it open a new tab as well. So at the end of the day, you can see our beautiful looking menu at the top over here, and then we can customize it the way we want. We can even change the, so you can see even padding, margin, we can be able to see it. So we can even choose to see how it will appear on mobile. So on mobile, this is how it will look like. So, and another thing is that if we want to go ahead and send this email to more than one user, I only showed you how to send it to a specific user. But what if you want to send this template to more than one user? We can just click on what? On send newsletter, and after this modal is opened, we can enter our email title, and you can see it over here. If you want to send this email to more than one user, all we need to do is to enter more emails separated by comma. Just the way I've entered it over here. Take45@gmail.com, comma, take@gmail.com. So if you have multiple emails up to 500, you can go ahead and enter them. Another way is that maybe you may already have an emails collected from your users. So you can just customize this in such a way that when you come to this email, you should have a button over here that when you click on it, it fetches all the email addresses from your database and populate this field. There is another way of doing it, and then from there you can click on send and dispatch the mail to different users. Alright, by the end of this tutorial, you should be able to learn how to design this beautiful looking email drag and drop editor. You should be able to learn how to send email using NodeMailer. You should be able to learn how to send email to more than one user. You should be able to have this email integrated in your project. You should be able to add this awesome looking beautiful project to your portfolio. So if you want to learn all this to design this beautiful looking email drag and drop using reactjs and nodejs, and sending email using nodemailer, please stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Believe me, you are not going to regret it. By the way, before we continue, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe, share, and turn on notification for more awesome tutorial projects like this. So back here in our VS Code, we have created a directory, a project directory, and within it we have two more directories. We have a client and a server. The server is empty, but inside the client we have bootstrapped React boilerplate. So you can go ahead and do that. Let's see how we can be able to do that. You can open your CMD and navigate to this client directory. So you can see I've navigated to client directory. So if you have not created a React project, you can just run this command nps create dash react dash app, and then dot. Since we're already inside the client directory, dot, it will create in this client directory. But if you're not already in the client directory, you can go ahead and type client as the name of the app. but we have already done this. So the next one is we need to install packages that we need to use on the client side. So we need three packages. This we run npm install. Alright, just open your CMD and navigate to this client directory, and if you're within this client directory, you can run the command nps create dash react dash app, and then dot. Since we are already within the client directory, it will create the application within this client directory. But if you are not within client directory, maybe you are inside your project directory, you can now call the name of the app as client, and it will create a React boilerplate project for you. But we have already done this, so no need. So I'm going to go ahead and install the packages needed on the front end side. So npm install. First of all, we need axios for making requests. We need react dash email dash editor. We need ndb dash react dash ui dash kit. So these are the three packages that we need. Go ahead, hit enter, and let's wait for it to install. Alright, so within this client directory we need some directories. So go inside this source src directory and then create. We need component. Stay within the source, we need config. Stay within the source, we need another directory known as lib. Within the config, create an index.js file. Alright, so within this config directory, we want to configure our Axios. So we import Axios from Axios. We create a variable to check. It will return a boolean value of true or false if our server is running on localhost. And we create a server URL, and we use this is localhost variable to determine if our app is running on localhost. It should return this, or if it is running on production, it should return this. So but over here, instead of this URL that we have over here. Alright, so inside our index.js, if we want to configure our Axios to create an instance of Axios, so we import our Axios from Axios. We create a boolean value here to return true or false. So we want to configure our Axios, create an instance of it so that we can be able to make requests to the server. So we import Axios from Axios. We create a variable is localhost to check if our server is running locally or remotely. It will return true or false. Then we create a server URL. We want to type the server URL. So if it is on localhost, it should return this where our server is hosted at. And then if it is on remote server, this is where we'll be eventually hosting our application. So you can go ahead and replace this with your own server URL where you'll be hosting your server. And then we create API URL just to append this slash this API to this server, whichever variable that the server URL will be returning here, the API URL will return. Then we create instance of Axios by exporting Axios and then calling this Axios that we import at the top and say dot create. We pass with credentials through when you want to allow cookies and authors, and then we pass base URL, which is this API URL over here. Alright, so under the lib directory, create index.js file. Inside the index.js under our lib, we are going to go ahead and create some functions that will make requests to the server. So let's go ahead and paste this code. So we have imported Axios from config, the Axios that we configured in this config. So you can see this is the Axios that we exported, and we have imported it in lib. It's not the one from the main library. Remember, we configured Axios over here. So we import it first at the top. Then we create a function upload photo files. This function is going to take body and take data and upload, send to the server. And then whichever thing that is returned, we return message, error, and data. Likewise, if an error occurs, and then we also want to get the photo files. We want to create a library. So we are going to have a media library where we can be able to select images that we'll be sending in our mail. So on this one, we get all the pictures from the server. So and this one, send newsletter is the one that we'll be using it to send newsletter to our email address. Get image dimension, we want to be able to get image height and width whenever we select any file to upload, so we create a function for getting this, as well as we create a function for validating email address. So this one over here. So these are the few functions that we have over here in our lib. So we're going to go ahead and under our components and create some components that will display our email, our editor, where we can be able to edit our email. So before we continue, let's install one more package known as React Copy to Clipboard. So just run this command inside your client directory. Run this command npm install react copy to clipboard. So install this command react copy to clipboard. So hit enter. Now you can see that within the component directory we have a different set of components. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. We have a created email editor component, gallery modal, preview files, and send modal, send mail modal component. So let's take a look at what is inside the email editor. So inside the email editor we have imported some components from React. We have imported email editor from React email editor. This is a library that we have installed. This library is provided free of charge by OnLayer. It is on the npm, so you can install this library, and it's the one that we install right from the beginning of this video tutorial. So, and we have imported a gallery modal over here. We have imported some functions that we created under libs. We have imported send mail modal from send mail modal. Under here we have imported the button component from ndb react ui kit. We have created an editor. We have created a use ref using React use ref hook. We have created two state, one to open our sending mail modal, and then the other one to open our gallery modal over here. And then we have created another variable known as photo files that will hold our photo files. We have created these raw files we hold when we want to upload files. It will hold the files before we send it to our server, loading to show the loading state, and photos ref to this photos ref will persist state when our component re-renders. We use ref to persist state within our component when it re-renders. Then we created two functions to toggle either send mail modal or gallery modal. If this component is mounted, we want to immediately fetch the photo files and display it in our gallery. So this is what we have basically done inside this use effect. We have created a function, and then we go ahead and call it so that it will immediately call this function as a component is mounting and set our files to our photo files to our gallery. So another thing is we call this email editor over here, and this email editor is a component that we have imported from React email editor, and we have passed it an ID. You must pass this editor ID and say the width and height using your CSS. We'll be going to our CSS file later. We have the ref, we pass it as editor ref, the use ref we created. It takes in a function known as onload and onReady. So we see how what these functions does, and you can see we have a button over here at the top, send newsletter. This is the one that when we click on this button, we want to use to access this editor and get the HTML version of this. So the HTML version of our template, and then send our mail to the user we want to send. So this is what this export HTML does. So let's see the function, what the function does. So you can see we have the function export HTML over here, and we are using this ref to get access to the editor, and then the editor has a function known as export HTML, and it exports two things. It export an object that returns the HTML part and the JSON part. So, but in this tutorial, we are only interested in getting the HTML. So, if you want the other part, you can get it. If you want the HTML, the JSON part, you can get it through this data object. And if you want the HTML version, you can as well get it. So we are interested in getting the HTML version and setting it to our mail content, so that we can be able to go ahead and send this the HTML that we have designed in our editor to the user. So this is basically what this export HTML is doing. It makes and get a reference to our editor and extract the HTML. The next one is this unload function. The unload, when you already have a JSON version of the template that you have designed, you can call this unload and pass it the JSON version, and the JSON will be loaded in the template. But for now, I've disabled this. You can go ahead and implement it at the end of this tutorial. So the next function is this onReady. So this onReady function handles when the main and the template, the component is launched or is mounted. So when the component is mounted, we want a situation where when a user clicks on wants to add an image within the drag and drop component, we should be able to open a gallery, either upload new image or select an image from the gallery. So thank God the image editor, the React image editor has provided, when we make reference, we call this reference to the editor. It has provided a function known as register callback, and it takes an event of select an image. So the select an image takes a callback. It also has a callback that takes the data and the DOM. So over here, we want to go ahead and open our gallery mode so that we can be able to select an image. So when you call this event, you must pass this DOM. So it is assuming that you're selecting an image. So for here, I've created a default option. So you can go ahead and paste this, or you can customize it to your own. This is also a default option. So and we pass it to our done, because the done is going to have height. It's supposed to take a file that has height, width, size, and URL. But for now, we are just using a dummy and default setting. So this is what basically the already function does. When we click, we are going to see how this thing works on the UI. One situation, when we click on select an image, you want to upload an image to our gallery or select an image. So you will see exactly how it works. If you are confused about this, visit the documentation of React Image Editor and you will see. So, but I've tried to simplify everything in this video. The next one is handle file input change. Handle file input change is the one that will attach to our gallery input. Our file input when we are uploading image files. So we want to get each file, look through the files and get the dimensions of each file. So we want each file to have what? Just the way the structure of this, we want it to have height, width, size, and URL. So all the images that were files that we're going to send up to our server want to extract to get the height, the width, the size, and the URL before sending it to our server for uploading. So this is basically what this handle file input does. It gets the files and then convert it to an array, look through the array, and then get the dimension of each file. So this get dimensions is a function that we have created under libs that is going to get a dimension, the size of our image, and then set it to this raw file. So when we now go ahead and click on the button of submit to our server now, our this function of handle file upload now is going to take the raw files that we have gotten the dimensions over here, look through it, create a form data object, look through the files, and then set the width and the height on the file before sending it to our server. So it will now set or send all this to our server, and as with form data type, you cannot send any other data type than string. So we have to just stringify each of these. So the width and the height, since they are numbers over here, and then we append it to this form object, and then we call this upload photo file. This upload photo files is behind the scene. We have created a function under libs, so it's going to call our iStreams and send this form input to the server. So once it has sent the files to the server will now assert it, upload it to our Google Firebase storage. So once it has done that, it will return. Once it has returned, we want to go ahead and set it, add it to our previous state, update our state within this component by adding it to our photo reference. So once we have called this, we can now destructure, spread it within this array and the previous files, and also set the current photo file to the same thing as in this one. So and then if any error occurs, we want to set it to false. So this is basically what this component is doing. It is just self-explanatory, Don't worry if you don't understand. I'm going to drop a link to this GitHub repo so that you can have access to it. But once we do this and preview it within our browser, you can see exactly how this thing works. The next is our gallery model. So our gallery model is going to go ahead and display all our photo files that were fetched from the server. You can see it has taken some properties over here. It has taken model, it can taken photo files, photo file uploads, photo file input change. You can see those functions that we say, so that our model can be able to upload files as well as display all our files that are fetched from the server. Another one is send mail model. When we click on send mail model, we want to be able to extract, we want to be able to toggle the mail model to show and then get the mail content that when we click on this button of export mail, it's going to export the HTML version of it. So when we toggle this send mail model, I want to open it and then enter the user's email and send the mail to the user. So we are going to see how this thing works exactly. So let's see what is in our gallery model. Inside our gallery model, we have imported React, we have imported some component from NDB React UI kit, we have imported this preview files, which is a component over here, so that we can be able to preview our files before sending it to the server for uploading. We have imported copy to clipboard, so that we can be able to copy the links of each image to set in our email editor. So, and then those properties that we set over there, we are accepting these props from email editor, and there is open the toggle modal, the file, and all this. So after we have accepted, we create a modal using an NDB React UI kit. After we have done that, we have created a form that will handle our file upload. You can see on change, then we pass this handle file input change, and then we want to upload multiple files. So we pass this multiple attributes, and then we say type of file. Then we want a situation, once we select a file, we want to preview it. So that's the reason why we call this preview component over here. And we want a situation also where when we click on a button of uploading our files, we want to show a loading spinner. So we say if loading is true, then you should go ahead and show loading spinner. And then we have our button over here for uploading our file. When we click, it should handle file upload. So this is just a form, basically a controlled component that handles uploading our files. So, and then the down part of this, our gallery model, is to look through all our files and display. You can see we call image tag. We pass the source of the file, and then we display the file, giving it styles as well, so that we can go ahead and show all the images we have fetched from our server in our gallery. So this is basically what this is done. So as we are doing, we have got this copy to clipboard and pass the text, the image URL, so that we can be able to copy this image URL and pass it in our email editor when we are editing our email templates. So, and then we have passed toggle modal. This is the button to close the modal when the user wants to close the modal. And we have called this toggle modal when the user wants to close the modal. The next component that we'll be looking at is preview files. So under the preview files, it is not doing anything much. We are just getting the files that we have selected for uploading, and then we are looping through the files and then showing the preview of it. So there is nothing much in this component. Just get the files as properties and then preview them before, show the user the file before sending it to the server for upload. The next component over here is to send our newsletter. If we have designed our email template and want to go ahead and send it to the user, we have imported some component from NDB React UI kit. We have imported these two functions from lib. One, before we send the email to any user, we want to validate if the email that the user has entered is a correct email. And we want to also send call this function or send newsletter, so that we send it to our server, to our express server, our nodejs express server, to handle the sending of the file. So for instance, this one now, this verify email input is going to, it's just a function that is going to verify our emails. If for instance we enter more than one email, we want to split, use JavaScript split function to split the email. We can enter multiple emails separated by comma. So we split it and get the array, and each email address over there we verify, we validate if it is a real email. If it is not a real email, we return false. So this is basically what this verify emails is doing. So this validate email, we have created a function under libs. I've already shown you. So and then within this our component of send mail model, we have is open mail model and toggle mail model. And then we have created three state to get the subject, to get the emails, and to show the loading state. So the handle subject is just handle change event listener that we get the subject or the email, and this one will get all the emails that the user has entered separated by comma. And then we have created a function handle submit. So this handle submit is going to check if our subject is not empty, if our image is not empty, and if not validate emails. So if all the emails that we have passed through our input are correct, then it should go ahead and allow. But if an error occurs, it will return an alert that error occurs. So and then we also want to check if the mail content is not empty. So if the mail content is empty, we tell the user to design the mail before sending it. And if everything is correct, we now call this send newsletter, and then we pass it an object. We pass it an object of subject, mail content, and emails. So we want to go ahead and send it to our nodejs server so that we can now dispatch the email to the user. So if the mail is everything is correctly returned, we want to go ahead and empty everything and then set alert of whichever message is returned from the server, be it successful message or error message. So this one down here in the one inside the model, what we have basically done is to create a form that we can be able to get the subject. So you can see these are just an input that we can be able to get the subject when it changes, and we can also be able to get the email addresses. So depending on the email addresses that the user has entered inside our text area. So this is just basically a form with unchanged listener of handle email input that we have already created at the top over here. So and then lastly, we have a submit button that is going to go ahead and send our email. This modal footer over here, we have just got toggle mail modal so that once a user click on this close button, it can go ahead and close it. So after we have done all this, we need to go ahead and call it in our main app.js component. So and you can see that we have been imported. So for our individual UI key to work, we have to import this CSS file. So you can see this CSS file is imported from individual UI kit. We have also imported our email editor from the components, and then we have created a header and passed our email editor. So also we have our inside our index.css file, we have added some styles that can just make our UI look good. And some few styles. I'm going to drop this code on GitHub so you can just have access to it and check it out by yourself. So after everything is done, we will save and check it out in the browser. But before then, ensure you start your app. And run npm start our app. Alright, so if we come to our browser over here and our app is started, you can see that we have our email drag and drop editor over here shown in the browser with the help of React email editor. So you can see the company's name on layer editor. I guess you must assume they are ads. So this is it. So if we want to add more content within this, we can just add different sections, or if I want to add another section below, I can add, or if I want to add a content, I can click on add content and I can see different things. So if I want to drag an image or text, for instance text that I want, I can drag it and drop it over here. I can drag and drop it, so you can see my text over here, and I can be able to edit it as well. So over here too, if we want to add maybe an image content, we can drag an image and add. But for now, remember we have not enabled uploading images. So if we click on this image to insert an image, we are going to see this button of upload. So if we click on this button now, it's going to show our model. This is our model. From here we can select an image and upload, send it to our server to upload. So but what we have just done is just the front end part of it. So we go ahead and handle the backend aspect of it, so that when we select images from here, we can be able to send it to our back end for upload. So let's handle our server side. Alright, so before we continue to our nodejs server, let's quickly set up a Firebase project over here. So if you don't have a Firebase account, go ahead and then type Firebase within your browser and then create a Firebase project. So you can see I've created one of the projects over here known as an email editor. So you can go ahead and create a Firebase project. Like if you want to add new one, I've already created one. So if it is just a new project, you can go ahead, click on new one, enter the name, and that's all. So I'm going to click over here. We need to get some configuration settings. So I'm going to select this my Firebase project. So after I select my Firebase project, you can see different builds over here that I can be able to integrate within my application. But we are not interested in all this Firebase hosting or whatever. All we are interested in is the storage where we can be able to upload our files. So, and if we click on our storage over here, I have uploaded some few files and you can see them over here. So, and if you go under rules, ensure that you set your rules to allow the files to be read from anywhere. So for now, so until maybe after this project, you can configure it to be on the application. So you can see the rules that I've set over here within my own and Firebase project. So set your rules to this. So after you have done all this, we need to get access to the admin so that we can be able to authenticate within our application. So click on these settings icons at the top over here and go to project settings. So and under project settings, you can go under service accounts, and under service account you can see over here, you can be able to, under service account, you can be able to see the configuration within our nodejs over here. So under this our service account, what we are interested in is to generate new private keys. So just click on this generate new private keys and it will ask you, yes, you want to generate, say yes, generate a key. It will download a JSON file to your system. So you can see the JSON file that is downloaded over here. So we are going to go ahead and carry this JSON file and drop it in our project so that we can be able to use it to authenticate our Firebase account. So if you come under your downloads within your file explorer, you should be able to see the file and the JSON file downloaded over here. See the JSON file over here, either this one, this is the previous one I've downloaded, and you can copy any of these. So I'm going to copy the latest one, or you can copy any of, you can copy this. So I'm going to copy it and take it to my project directory and drop it over there. Alright, so you can see that I'm within my project directory and this is my server directory. It is empty, so I'm going to navigate inside the server directory and create another new directory known as SAT, short form of certificate. So just call it SAT, and since it's a directory, we will drop that our Firebase configuration file inside. So just press the file inside. So this is the Firebase admin SDK that we'll be making use of it to authenticate within our project, our nodejs application. So let's head over to our nodejs server and initialize our server. So within our directory over here, you can see it is just a directory we have created and the file that we have dropped inside our server. So let's go ahead and start our nodejs, initialize our nodejs. So in order to do this, navigate to your server directory within your project and run this command npm init. So it's gonna ask us some couple of questions. The package name, server, yes, leave it, version, leave the version, press enter, and description, just say an email editor, node.js. So and the entry points can be index.js. The text command, we can type jest over here. The gate, we can leave it empty. The keywords, we can leave it empty for now. The author, you can type in your name, and then the license can be MIT, and then is this okay, just say yes. So it will just initialize a basic Node.js application within this our server directory for us. So right now we have to go ahead and install all the necessary packages. So we need to just run this command npm install express compression course helmet .env mongoose multer multer Firebase storage node mailer for sending our mail. So these are the packages that we need to install. So go ahead and hit enter and let's wait for it to install. Alright, so you can see that our packages have installed successfully. The next package that we need to install is nodemon. So just run npm install dash dash self dash dev nodemon. It's going to be a dependency, a dev dependency package. That's the reason why we have to add this flag. So hit enter, wait for it to install. Alright, so as it is installing, I'm going to go ahead and set up. You can see it has included a package.json over here in our server, and I'm going to go ahead and set up a basic Express server. I'm going to go ahead and set up a basic Express server, create the directories. Alright, so you can see I've done some basic settings over here. We have created some directories, some that are empty over here, and this one is the one we created and dropped our email config. I mean our Firebase config file over there. We'll be making use of it. So let's open our .env. Create a .env file inside the root directory of your server, and then we'll drop our environment variables over here. So open our .env. If you open our .env, I've dropped some configurations over here. Our port, our domain, our site domain, our local app URL, our remote app URL will be hosting our remote app URL, our API URL will be hosting it in production. Our mail configuration, we have taken the mail host, the mail port, mail account user, the mail account password. So if you are using Gmail account, you can go ahead and use smtp.gmail.com. That will be your host, and then you can provide your username at gmail.com. You can provide your password, but here I'm using my Cpanel email account that I've created. So the next is we need to call these configuration files in our config so that we can be able to use it within our app. So go inside config and create a file known as index.js. So inside our index.js, we call module.export. We call all these environment variables over here so that we can export them and use them in our application. The reason for doing this is because we could decide to change any name over here, and if we change any name over here, we can only come to this config and change the name. So the reason is that if we decide to change any name over here, we can only come once and change it over here. That's the reason why I normally create a config file and drop, and then from here export all my environment variables. So all the environment variables we have over here, we have called them over here and then exported. Then the poll, the host, the MongoDB configuration. If it's in production, you should pick the production, the remote URL. If it is local, you should pick the local URL, so that when we are deploying this application, we don't need to come and configure anything again. If in production, it will be the production variables. If it is under development, it will be the development variables. Likewise, this mail over here. So the mail config too, we have done this mail config, provided port, and then the host, the account. So and another one is allowed domains. These are the domains that we want to allow them to communicate with the server. So in this case, the only domain that will be allowing is our client side domain. So you can see it over here. So if it's in production, you should take remote app or local app, which is our reactjs app hosted on port 3000. So these are the thing. You can go ahead and substitute this one with your domains that you'll be hosting your application on. So the next step is to configure our database. So let's go ahead and create index.js file so that we can be able to configure our DB. Alright, so inside our index, under our db index.js, we are going to go ahead and press this db configuration. We are using MongoDB over here. So we import mongoose from mongoose, and then we import config from config, so that we can be able to go ahead and make use of so that we can be able to go ahead and extract our MongoDB URL that we have provided in this config. You can see our MongoDB over here, and we have mongodb URL. So we are going to go ahead and get it. After we get it, we pass it to, since it is an asynchronous function, we are going to pass it the URL. So this is all about our MongoDB configuration. This is a normal MongoDB connection. Alright, so under our middlewares over here, create a file known as firestorage.middleware and paste this type in this configuration. So we have imported multer because we are going to be using multer to handle our file uploads, but we want to upload our files to Firebase storage. So we have imported multer from multer. Remember, we already installed this dependency. We have imported in Firebase storage from multer Firebase storage, and we have imported an fire certificate from fire. Remember that configuration file that we downloaded, that JSON file that we downloaded and drop it right from the one we begin this server configuration. This is a file over here. This is the one that we imported over here, so that we can go ahead and use the configurations that are inside. If we open it, you can see a lot of configurations that are inside, so we are going to make use of it. So if you downloaded your own, just go ahead and then drop it. We are going to make use of it. Once we have imported that, we have to create a function and call this multer, so that we can configure our multer. Remember, multer takes storage. So instead of taking a local storage within application, we want it to be this Firebase storage. And this Firebase storage, you ask, what is the bucket name? So if you remember our application that we configured, our application will show you the bucket name. So let's check it out. Alright, so if you come back to our Firebase console, you can be able to see under general settings. If you come back to Firebase console, just click on this settings icon and click on project settings. Then you'll be taken to this page, and within this page, you should be able to see our configuration down here. So you can see npm if you are installing, but click on config, and you should be able to see our configurations over here. So you can see the storage bucket name, see the storage bucket over here, see it over here. So this is what is required in our bucket name, in our configuration of Firebase and multer storage. So this is the name, you copy it. So that is the name that we have provided over here under this bucket name. And then the next configuration is credentials. So under this credentials, it takes email, private key, and project ID. So all these can be found in this our admin configuration file that we downloaded. So remember, we imported it over here. So since it is JSON object, we can go ahead and access it based on the keys. So we have call firebase.client email.private key.this from this our config file that we had downloaded from Firebase. See it over here, the certificate. So another thing with this Firebase storage settings, that is Firebase, this multer Firebase storage setting, is if you indicate public, it means that when you upload a file, the file should be accessed publicly. So it will send back a URL, and each file you want it to be unique. So it has some hooks that if you want to do something before or after, you can be able to do. So like over here, before initialization, if you want to do anything, you can do. But before upload, we want to do something, we want to change the file name. So you can say I've changed the file name over here by getting the original name and splitting it based on the dot and getting the last index, and then renaming it to any name of my choice. So this is, then I'll rename the file before sending it to Firebase for upload. So the limit of my files are 1, then the file limit should be 10. So the file size should be what, 10 MB. So that is the limit that I've set. Then we export this middleware. So this is all about this configuration that is going to handle together with multer. It's going to accept file from our client application and upload it to Firebase, as simple as this. Alright, the next middleware that we're going to create is format file middleware. So this is a middleware that we just use it to intercept the uploaded files and format it the way we want. Remember, our files are supposed to have height, width, size, and then the URL. So this format.middleware is empty right now. We're going to configure it in such a way that after uploading the files in the Firebase storage, it will get a request and the body, and then format our files based on each file's height. So let's see the configuration. So just like a typical middleware, it has taken request, response, and next, and then we want to ask. Remember, when the files are uploaded, it will be stored under request of files, so we want to get it, and then we want to JSON stringify the body so that we can be able to get. Remember, each file that we select is going to have a request and is going to have height and object height and size. We have set it on our front end. So over here, we want to check if there is files. Actually, if it is not null, then we will go ahead and loop map through the file, and each of the file, the request dot body over here, we will get it. Since the body is going to be an array, we will get it's going to be an object. We are going to, okay, we'll check if the files is not null, then we'll map through the files, each file. Then we have already JSON stringify our our body, so it is an object. So we want to go ahead and pass convert that each of these, because remember, on our front end, when we are storing the each particular files info, we are storing it under a key known as an object with a key known as info. So info, if we upload three files, that will be info underscore 0, info underscore 1, info underscore 2, info underscore 3. So each info and its ID, file ID, will take the details of each particular file. So we want to get the, so if we choose a file, three files at the same time, and those files have different width and height, this info will store the information of the width and height. So we get it over here and configure our format our files the way we want it to be. We want it to have URL, size, file name, height, and width. And then we attach this thing to the request and call next so that it can pass signal to the next middleware. Yes, if there is no file, we will return an error. So this is basically what this middleware is doing. So we see where we are going to use it. So the next thing is that let's quickly configure our server so that we can be able to run our, configure our package.json, our script, so that we can be able to have a script to start our server. So first of all, in order to start our server, we need a key known as start, and the key is going to call node, and the name of the file that I want it to be the root file, which in this case is index.js. You can call it app.js or server.js. The next one, since we are using node mode to be pasting, we will create a key known as node mode, and instead of node, we type node mode. So the reason for using this node mode is that when we are in development and we make any changes, the node mode will automatically restart the server for us. So this is a basic and script configuration that we're going to do under our package.json in our server directory. So the next step for us over here is to configure our model. Alright, so under this our models, we create index.js and we configure, it's just a simple model in our database. So now we have created schema just like with mongoose. We have been import. Okay, let's just, since it is not JS, we're not using TypeScript. It's going to be const variable we are going to require instead of importing, since we are not using TypeScript. So now we've created our file schema. We want our file schema to have name, URL, size, width, and height, and their type is straightforward. All of them should be required. This one is string, this one is string. Our file size is number, this one is number, and then timestamp. We want it to have updated and created time, and then we call mongoose.model. Then we pass in the name of our collection that we want it to have, and then we pass in this our schema, and we export our file model so that we can be able to, whenever we upload our files to Firebase storage, we get back the URL and store the URL in our MongoDB. So this is basically what this model is going to do for us. Alright, so under our util now, we create an index.js file and we will configure our mail. This is where we create a function that will help us to send mail, to dispatch mail to users. So first of all, we require nodemailer because nodemailer is the package that will enable us to send email, and then config, from config so that we'll be able to get our mail config. So if you hover over it, you can see we have the port, the host, the accounts, and the user, the password. So now we create a function so that we can configure our nodemailer, and we have called nodemailer. The function will take a parameter of mail options, and we have called a nodemailer that will create transport. So if you check out nodemailer documentation, this is coming from there. We provide a mail host, and we provide the port, the pool, and then we say secure. If it is our mail port is equal to 465, then it is secure, else false. The maximum message is 500, maximum connections at a time should be 500. Then we provide our authentication, our mail authentication, the username and the password. All this we have gotten from mail config that we import from our the environment variable and store it under config. So from there, we go in, create a variable info and await transport or send mail. So the mail from, so the from is going to be the user that is sending the mail. So in this case, your email, you are the one sending the mail to that person. So it will be your email. So you can see mail.config.account.user, our email address, and then the mail options. These options that we have configured at, the options that we are going to take over here. So, and then from there, we create another function on send mail to users. So this send mail to users is going to accept the data and await. It will call this mail account dispatcher, which is this function that we have created over here. Once it has called it, it will pass in these parameters, and then if everything is successful, it should return an error false message which may dispatch, else you should return error true with error and error code. So now basically then at the bottom we export this send mail to user so that we can go ahead and use it to send mail to our users. Alright, so under our route you can see file that routes.js. Over here we have a required express, we are required some other functions from controller. We'll be opening controller very soon, and we have been required format file uploaded files from middleware and multer file uploads. Then we create an express called this router object. So we want a situation where if someone makes request to this upload files, we will call this multer files storage middleware to upload our files. So this will now upload the files to Firebase. After it has uploaded the files to Firebase, it will pass signal to the next middleware, which is this format of uploaded files. So format uploaded files, we now format our files the way we want and send it to file insert files controller. So we also want situation if someone makes request to get files, we get media. We call this get media files controller. So from here now, we now export this route so that we can use it in our main index.js. We'll be coming to that. Another route is email.route.js. So we want a situation if someone makes a request to this send newsletter, we'll be able to call this email controller. So let's check out what is inside our controllers. So the number one that we'll be checking is find.out.controller. You can see we have created a function handler over here known as insert files controller. So it is the one that when someone makes a request and the files have been uploaded through this middleware to the Firebase, pass the signal over here, and this one has formatted our files. Then this our insert files controller is the one over here that will get the files that have been uploaded. By the way, the reason why we have to put this media file is the array, is the name of the file that we passed on our client side. So on our client side, when we're sending the files to our server, we say that the name of the file, each file that we send, the name should be what? Media file. So it will get it by this. This is how multer works. So and this multer file storage is just a middleware, and within the middleware we use alright. So in our insert files controller, we now call insert file service and pass in the files array. the files that has been formatted. So over here now, once it has passed all these files, another function over here that we created is get media files. Once we call these get media files, we pass it on this handler over here, get media files controller. What it's going to do is it is going to go ahead and call this and then call this get media file service. So get media file service, we can now call our database and get the files. So we also exported the function so that we can use them inside our route over here, just the way we have used it. So another file within this our controller is this and our email dot controllers.js. So over here we have imported this send email service from email.services that will be opening very soon. And then we create this function of send email controller, which we call this function over here and passing the body or whichever thing that we send from the client. So send email services is going to now handle our sending of dispatching of mail to different users based on the email addresses that they have sent. So another After all this, we now have our services. So inside our services, we first of all import our model. Our model over here is the database that we defined, the schema and the model. So and then we say if they call this inside file service, get the files array or the formatted files and insert it inside our database. We want a situation where when a user wants to upload files from the gallery, we should be able to accept the files and send it to our Firebase storage. Then the links to those files will be returned. Then we will get the links and then format it through that this our format and middleware. It will now format the files. After it has formatted the files, get the file name, the size, the width, the height. It will now send it to our insert file service through the controller. So once we accept the files over here, we now save it in our database so that we can be able to make use of it from our client application. So we now say if everything is successful, return success, but if there is an error, return error. So another one is get media file. So this function, what it does is that it calls the database. This is through the file model and fetch all the files from the database. And if there is no files, we change the status to 404 not found. But if everything is successful, we pass 200 status and return. So this is basically what this file service is doing. Then we export the two functions so that we can use them in our file dot controllers. Another one is email services. So this email services, just like the function over here, this is a function that will go under our email.controller. You can see this is a function over here. So all what the function does is that it goes ahead and call our send mail to users function. So send mail to users function is where we have defined our node mailer and our email account. So it will just call it and pass the payload that we have accepted over here, the email, maybe the email addresses, the HTML template, and the title or the subject of the mail, and then call this one here and pass this parameter of body. So this one will now handle dispatching the mails to different users. So if everything is successful, we return. If there is an error, we as well return the error over here. So another thing is that after all everything over here, you can see that we defined our route over here. We have exported this route and we have also exported this route, but we have not used them. Where then can we use them? We need to call them in our main index.js file. So when we open this on main index.js file, you will notice that if we scroll to the top, we have imported so many things. First of all, we have imported this .env. .env is the package that enables us to read environment variables. So for instance, now you have environment variables over here. These environment variables, we cannot be able to call these environment variables in our config just the way we are calling them over here, process.env, without this package. known as .env. So what this .env does is that it carries all our environment variables that were defined here and it turns it to the global process object so that we can be able to call process.env and get the name, the value. So now we have also required express and then HTTP. All this is a built-in module, and path is also a built-in module, and helmet is used for configuring our headers. Compression is used to compress our response, and CORS stand for cross-origin resource sharing, and enables us our client application to communicate with our server application. And config is the one where we have configured all our exported all our config options, and the media route. So the media file route, it is this one over here that we have imported, and the email, the newsletter route is this one over here. We want to go ahead and use this route within our pass them as media within our express app so that users can be able to make requests, or our client application can be able to make requests to our server. So and then we import our mongodb from db so that we can be able to call the function to start our db. So another thing is that then we destructure some properties from our config so that we can be able to use them. We want to get the port and the allowed domains. So over here we have just created a want to upgrade this our course configuration. So I've just added this. You can go ahead and add it, and we now call this course, and the course has to take the origin and credentials. So these credentials we pass it as true because on our client we pass with credentials through our Azios. So the origin specify the domains in which you want to allow them to communicate with with your server. So in this case is where our reactjs application is hosted, and on a remote server where our application will be hosted. So I've already done the configuration over here in config. So you can see our allowed domains over here. So if it is in production, it should pick the remote app URL, and if it is on locally, it should pick the local app URL. And if we check over here, we have defined our local app URL and our remote server URL or remote app URL. So another thing is we pass in this middle, we have compression, helmet, and express.json so that we convert our body that we're sending from the client to JSON like and extend it for us. We'll call our database over here so that our database can start. So and then this configuration you can just make it for making say, although we are not making use of public directory over here, but you can go ahead and make use of to make this configuration so that all our static files will be dropped so far everything is empty. And then we want to call our API, our route. So in order to call our route, we want our route to be prepended with /API. So we create this virtual path so that on the client application we can be able to make requests to /API/upload files, /API/get files. So that's the reason why we create this virtual path, and then we pass in our route that we have imported from this file. And we also passing this one that we have imported from this one. This one is from email.route and this one is from our app. So and then we create our HTTP server and we pass in the express app, and then we start the server to listen on port, whichever port that we define over here in our environment variable. So that is basically what we have done over here. So once we have done over here, all we need to do is to go ahead and run our app and start our nodejs app. Alright, just open your CND and run this command node more and hit enter. Good, we can see our server is up and running. Alright, so back here in the browser you can see that our app is showing and everything is looking great. You can see our UI over here. You can be able to design our mail and send it. You can see on the right hand side we have the content, we have the blogs, we have the body. If you want to change the color of the body, and for instance I want to change the text color, or I want to change the background, I can click over here and change it. So but let's leave that for now. Alright, so back in the browser you can see that our app is looking beautiful. It's displaying in the browser, and on the right hand side you can see we have content section, we have blogs, we have the body. You can be able to customize. So for instance, now I want to go ahead and design our mail. We can click on this box that is over here and then click on add content. So once we click on add content, you can see all this. We can be able to drag anyone. For instance, we want to add a heading to our mail. We can just drag that one and drop it over there. That is this heading. Just keep your cursor on it and drag it and drop it over there. And you can be able to edit it. We want to edit it. So you can either change the color, change the heading type, text align it on the right hand side over there. So let's edit our mail header. Type this. So we want our mail header to have this. So you can go ahead and use all these toolbox to this toolbar to customize your email how you want it to look like. Maybe you want the heading to be bold. Just select it and make it bold. So after we have done this, if we want to add another block below so that we can add images, we can just click on block and select whether we want to have two section block. Just drag it and then drop it over here and it will show. So you can see two content blocks is being added. So if we click over here, want to add content, to show us content. For instance, we want to add an image, we can drag an image and then drop it over here. And then our image, we ask us to select to upload an image. So just click on this link and you will see, click on the image icon, well then you see upload image. So we are going to test out our gallery and our upload image. So click on this upload image, it will open our gallery model. So you can see I've uploaded some few images, but let's go ahead again and select a file so that we test what we have implemented. So let's go ahead and select a file to upload. So once our file explorer is open, we can select more than one image. So if you want to select more than one image, just hold your control if you're on Windows and select more than one image over here. So and then click on open. It will preview it. You can see our preview is working. We want to preview the images before we upload. So go ahead, click on upload. Wow, so you can see our two images have been uploaded successfully. So if you want to go ahead and add this specific image to our designer, our email template, now we can just click on this copy and the link has been copied. So just go ahead and close the modal. Then over here you can see it is demanding for image URL. Remove the placeholder and paste this image that you have just copied, so it will automatically load and show. So if on this side as well we want to add another image content, just click on this and it will ask us to drag, or you can add any of these, whether you want to add text content or you just want to add an images, you can be able to add. So if it is an image that we want to add, we can go ahead and drag an image again and drop it over here, and then we can now click on this to select an image. So if we click and our model is open, we can click on this to copy the image URL and paste it over here. So let's paste it and be sure. So if we want to go ahead again and design and add another block, just click on blocks and drag a block. Maybe you want to add and text content, it can be one. So just drop it over there and we can go ahead and add text content. So just click on, if you want to add text content, click on text and then drop text content over there. So you can see it has default text. So we can copy it and paste it several times. And once maybe we are done designing our mail the way we want it, we can now click on send newsletter. So let's assume this is a design that we are done. We want to send this mail. It's just a test. We want to go ahead and then send this mail to someone. So all we need to do is to just click on this button over here, send newsletter. Once we click on newsletter, it will ask us to enter the subject. So we can enter the subject. It will now ask us to enter the email address I want to send this mail to. So let me go ahead and enter my email address, tech45 tech45@gmail.com. So after you have entered, just click on send mail. So you can see a notification over here that our mail has been dispatched successfully. So we can go ahead and say okay, and it will stop. We can close this and check out our email to see if the mail has been sent. Well, if I come to my email inbox over here, you can see that and I have a new mail from account, my email. Hello world, this is my first email. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on it to open the mail so that we can see the content. So you can see the mail content that we have designed and sent, and you can see it over here. So we can also automatically, we can with the help of mailer, we can be able to even download this image, because if we convert our images to link to attachment. So you can see our mail over here. So this is how you can be able to design a beautiful looking React image drag and drop, and at the end of the day you design your mail the way you want, and you can send out newsletter. So you can see over here, when I click on this send mail, if I want to go ahead and send this email to more than one person, all I need to do is enter more email address separated by comma. So if you want to send the email to maybe another person, just go ahead and enter more email address is separated by comma. So maybe there is an email known as tech45 too. So if you want to send this email to more than one person, just enter multiple addresses separated by comma. If there is another email like this, go ahead and enter it like this. But since we don't have an email like this, we remove it. But once you enter it like this and you click on send, all those email addresses, the mail will be dispatched to them. So the next step for us now is to take this and host it on a server so that we can be able to access it remotely. In order to host our applications, all we need to do, we need to do some certain configurations. So first of all, come to your client directory over here under public directory and create a file known as .htaccess. So inside the .htaccess, go ahead and paste this configuration. If you don't have this configuration, check the video description. Don't have this configuration, check the video description in order to get access to this configuration to download the file and add it to your reactjs project. The reason why we have to do this configuration is because we are deploying this project to cPanel. Maybe if you're not deploying it to cPanel, you may not have to do this. So after you have done this, the next step now is to go to package.json and add home keyword, home key, home page key, and then specify the value to be the domain where you'll be hosting this client application. So in this case, we'll be hosting it at super email editor tech45. This is a subdomain that we'll be creating to host this project. So after you have done these two settings, ensure also that in your source directory under config, your your configuration your configuration over here is correctly pointing to where you'll be hosting your server remotely. So ensure this. So for this, we'll be leaving it like this because this will be hosting our nodejs server. So after all these three things have been done, we will save it and go and build our project. Alright, so once your project has finished building, just come back to your project directory over here. So you can say I have client and server directory. So I will log in, I will navigate to my client directory, and then you will see if your project built successfully. You see a build folder. So just enter inside the build folder and then select everything by pressing Ctrl A if you're on Windows. Then select the option of zip and click on OK. Want to zip all the files. So once it is zipped, you can see a build and the zip file over here. So see the zipped file over here. So once you are done with this client, let's zip all the files in on the server as well. So just let me make it on large, select everything, Control A, and after you have selected everything, deselect package.json dash log. This one we don't need it, and deselect node modules, we don't need it as well. So deselect the two, node modules, directory and packet adjacent and lock, and then the rest, right click and add to archive, and then select the option of zip and say okay. So our files have been zipped as well. So once our files have been zipped, the next option is to log into our cPanel. Alright, so here we are under my cPanel account, and you can see we have different sections within the cPanel. We have, you can see the image section over here, and we have the files section. So first of all, the one that we're interested in is this files section. So just click on this file manager. So once our file manager is open over here, you will see this interface, and I already created two subdomains. We'll be hosting this our application. We'll be hosting the client under super email editor.tech45, and we'll be hosting the server under API dot super email editor.tech45. So if I scroll down, you will see this. I've created a subdomain, and you will see the directory over here, super email editor.tech45.com. So once you create any subdomain within a cPanel, it automatically create a directory under the file manager for you. So you can see everything is empty. So we want to host our client application in this directory. So click on upload. Choose this option of override existing files and click on select file. Alright, once your file explorer is open, look for the project directory where you have it. If you have it on your desktop, check desktop. But since I have it on my C drive, so you can see my two directories over here, client and server. Enter inside client, enter inside build, and see the build file that will be zipped over here. So select it. So you can see it's just 381 kilobytes. So just once it is now uploading, click on this, and then you will see the zip file over here. Select it and click on extract, and click on extract files. So once the files have been extracted, close that and select this zip file, and you can delete it because you no longer need it. So if you want to see whether our application is truly hosted, we need to navigate to this directory. So let's type the directory name in our search bar. Wow, so once you type the name of the domain in the browser tab, you will be able to see this. So you can see our project is successfully hosted, and let's assume we want to go ahead and test it out by adding content. Like maybe click on add content, and then we drag this image. So once we drag the image and drop it over here and click on it, we should be able to, once we click on upload, we should be able to see this in our track down over here. So let's go ahead. Our server is not yet and hosted. That's the reason why you cannot see our files. Let's go ahead and host our server as well. This is just the client. So come back to your main cPanel homepage over here. So under this our cPanel, we have to scroll down to, you can see we have different sections. We have database, we have files. We have to scroll down to the section of software. Alright, so once you come back to our main cPanel homepage over here, let's scroll down to the section of softwares. So we have different sections. So this section of software over here. So click on set up nodejs application because our server is developed with nodejs. Alright, so once you come to this our nodejs application panel, just click on create application. We want to create a new application. Alright, so once this page is open, just click on, first of all, change the version. I want to change the version to 14 because that is the version we use in development. I want to change the application mode to production, and it's asking us of the application root. So the application root is where your Node.js application will be hosted. So in this case, we created, when we created our subdomain, it automatically created a directory for us, and it is in that directory that we are going to host our application. So if I go up over here, you will see API dot and super email editor.tech45.com. So this is the directory that I'll be hosting the application. So I'm gonna go ahead and type the name of the directory over here. So it's API. So it's API dot super email. So, and the next one is the application URL. So we already created a subdomain for this, and the subdomain is api.superemaileditor.tech45.com. So let's just select it. And the next one is the application starter file. Remember when we were developing our main application starter file was index.js. So all we have to do is to type index.js over here. And once we are done with all these basic settings, we're going to go ahead and click on create. So you can see that the application is created and successfully. So you can see that the application is created successfully. So if you want to go ahead and test whether this application is try running, let's click on this open. So you can see that our app says it works and it picks the nodejs version and display. So once we have confirmed that application is working, we have to upload our server file. So in order to do that, we need to pause the application by clicking on stop app. Once we stop the app, we can now go back to File Explorer. So click on upload and overwrite existing files and click on select file. So navigate back to server directory over here and click enter inside the server directory and select the file that we zipped. So look at file over here, select and click on open. So our file is uploaded successfully. Click on this link and click on select the zipped file and extract. So once our files have been extracted, let's navigate back to our nodejs application and we will refresh this page so that it will pick the files. So refresh the page. So once the page is refreshed, you should be able to see this run npm install, because in our files directory over here, we uploaded package.json. So see the package.json. So our Node.js application will automatically pick the package.json and ask us to install the packages. So just click on this button, run npm install. So you can see that our packages have been installed successfully. So once our packages have been installed successfully, navigate back over here and then select this package.json.log and try and select the server.zip. We want to delete them, we don't need them. So we click on delete and select the option on delete and delete the two files. So once they are deleted, navigate back to our nodejs app. Alright, so once you get back over here, all you have to do is to refresh this page again. Alright, so you can see that everything is okay now. The button is no longer activated because we have deleted the package.json. So all you need to do now is to click on start app. So in order to test if our app is working, just click on this open. Yes, our app is up and running. You can see it says it cannot get because we did not define any route to get to handle this default get. So everything is up and running. So once you have discovered that everything is up and running, you can go back to your client application and test out everything. Alright, so you can see our app over here. So once everything, our server and our client has been hosted, you can go ahead and try out all these features. So alright everyone, we have come to the end of this tutorial, and in this tutorial we have designed and developed our own React email editor and created a server for uploading our images so that we can be able to integrate it in our email editor and send it to our users and have a nice looking email template. So if you are new to my YouTube channel, please like, subscribe and turn on notification for more awesome videos like this.